In the last episode, we left our intrepid explorers camped for the evening in a wide river wash. The following morning, we awoke to fresh but beautiful sunny weather and the delightful babble of the river. In one of these pictures, you can even see me enjoying my morning coffee, just taking in the view. Patricio and Kathy had a ticket on the Marine Highway ferry leaving from Skagway later that day, bound for Bellingham in Washington State, and so we wished each other well and went our separate ways again, with me off to take a hike around Kathleen Lake in the beautiful Kluane National Park and Reserve. Kathleen Lake in the Kluane National Park in Canada, close by Haines Junction. Absolutely pristine, magnificent, really cool, I would even say cold air. Paul from Endless Trail Expeditions reporting from the top of the King's Throne hike in Kluane National Park, Canada. I'm totally pooped, certainly climbed further than I potentially thought I would. You can see the lake behind me. For those that are half my age, there is a hike that goes round, if you were, the top of the chair rail, but that's kind of goes up by my head there. You can sort of see the start of the trail, but that's not for me. I've more than exceeded my expectations. So yeah, fantastic. The air is crisp and clear. It's cold. I'm guessing it's around 6 to 8 centigrade, something like that. But very nice hike. Beautiful area. Beautiful area. Just to give you an idea of just how steep this hike is, you can see I'm going down this scree field here, and I can't even see the angle that I'm about to get into. So needless to say, I won't be filming there. But it certainly is a magnificent spot. Yeah. By chance that evening, Parks Canada was holding a special event with presentations around a campfire, along with an evening sky star walk. The event was fun, and I met some interesting people from the Park Service along with fellow overlanders. The event ended around 11:30 p.m, and so I returned to my previous campsite in the river wash in complete darkness. My rigid light bar certainly earned its keep that night. After an evening camped in the town of Whitehorse, I headed towards Carcross, famous for its little desert. However, along the way I made a stop at Miles Canyon, which is a charming spot where the Yukon River passes through a narrow rocky canyon. Well, good morning. Paul from Endless Trail Expeditions reporting to you today from Mile Canyon, just outside of Whitehorse in the Yukon. It's a beautiful morning, although it was started off foggy, and it's rather interesting here. We've got a narrow canyon that the water, super clear water, is flowing through. I don't know whether you can see that on the camera, but it's beautifully clear. And there's a little suspension bridge up ahead. There must be some Asian people here living in town. This practice of putting the locks together I've seen before in China. Continuing on from Miles Canyon, I shortly arrived at Carcross's little desert, which I explored in bat. After a short time exploring the desert, I met up with Caroline and Sven, two Germans that are exploring the world in a VW Synchro. We started to talk and then just could not stop. Eventually we said, let's just get comfortable, and we got out our respective camping chairs and enjoyed a few beers together. All too soon it was time for Caroline and Sven to leave to go back to Whitehorse, where they were working for travel money, and I repositioned bat for the evening. It must have been a cold night, because the following morning there was frost on the sand. That morning I watched the Queen's funeral before leaving for the town of Carcross. road between Whitehorse and Watson Lake is about 200 miles long and does not have mobile phone service. I began to notice that the coolant temperature on Bat was rising, and when I eventually stopped to determine what was happening, I discovered that a hose clamp on one of the radiator hoses had broken. I quickly got myself off the main road and backed into this old gravel pit. I was reasonably sure that I carried spare clamps, but when I checked my spare case, I could not find any. It is in times like this that you find yourself totally reliant on the goodwill of others. Fortunately for me, this couple stopped and had 2 clamps which could be joined together and made to work on Bat. You are looking at a road angel. To replace the lost coolant in Bat's radiator, I took drinking water from the Bliss Mobile living unit. Later that evening, I arrived in Watson Lake and parked for the night in sight of the visitor center. As below freezing winter nights were just beginning, I needed to replace my fresh water in Bat's radiator with coolant and dump out the old mixture. An auto parts store in town directed me to an old mechanic who let me leave my coolant with him. When I asked the mechanic what I owed him, he said nothing, it's free, so I thanked him but left a tip. After that, I asked around as to where I could get a haircut in town, and was pointed to a guy who really gave me a trim. The following day, I backtracked a few miles to begin my journey south on the Cassiar Highway. As it rained for most of the day, I did not take many pictures until the weather cleared up just before it was time to camp for the evening. Time went by, but eventually I turned off the Cassiar Highway and took the road to Stewart, British Columbia. Expeditions reporting from Stewart in British Columbia. We're going to cross into Alaska, Haida, to see the Salmon Glacier. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's been raining all day, a little bit of sun now, finally. Just look at this place. there's Bat. Hyder, Alaska is a little bit of an anomaly, as there is no US border crossing to enter, and I was told that it only has a total of 19 kilometers of roads. For me, it only served as access to view the magnificent Salmon Glacier, which, interestingly, is actually back in British Columbia, but is only accessible from Alaska. Well, I'm in Hyder, Alaska, in the Tongass National Forest, just across from Stewart, British Columbia. It's rather a strange place because you can only access it from Canada, and there's one road in and one road out, same road. But this is a sort of a unique situation here where they put in a sort of a game viewing platform, and you can see that bears apparently come down to eat fish, the salmon. And of course the salmon, as I've learnt, come back home to the river where they were born, and after laying eggs and after the male fertilizing those eggs, they just go and die. And of course the bears come and eat them. Although there's quite a few here lying, I guess they weren't the most tasty ones, so they're still there. I don't know if you can see, but this water is just crystal clear, absolutely crystal clear. I was completely awestruck with the magnificence of the Salmon Glacier, taking pictures and drone footage well into the evening. It was late when I eventually did stop, so I decided to spend the night here. That evening the clouds and the rain came in, and the following day the view was virtually non-existent. I had planned to stay put the next day, just taking in the views and taking more pictures, But bad weather was coming in fast, so a change of plans was necessary.